Something in the church isn't going as it should. Indeed, everything seems to be sliding in a disturbing direction, where scandals and liturgical revolutions advance unchecked, while those who dare speak out are silenced. It's an ambiguous picture, leaving many believers confused and others outraged. But behind these moves lies a precise strategy, and in the next few minutes, we'll explore together where it's truly leading our church. Two American cardinals dominate the ecclesiastical scene today, and certainly not for spiritual merit. Robert McElroy, a trusted man of the new modernist current, and Cardinal Cupich, the Archbishop of Chicago, who for years has led the offensive against tradition. They are the protagonists of a dark period in which the Church in the United States finds itself in the midst of a real storm. On the one hand, there is the explosive case of Father Michael Bree, a whistleblower priest who dared to denounce McCarrick-style cover-ups and who, for this reason, is threatened with laicization. On the other hand, the open challenge of Cupich, who in a pamphlet published on September 3rd on ChicagoCatholic.com celebrated the Novus Ordo as a correction of the Roman Rite, reducing the Mass of all time to a clerical theater deformed by the imperial courts. It is in this context of scandals, intimidation, and doctrinal manipulation that the increasingly impatient faithful wonder whether their voices will ever be heard, or whether the modernist line will continue to stifle every call to Catholic truth. The McElroy case captures the gravity of the moment. Father Michael Bree, a priest of the Diocese of Washington, has broken his silence by publicly denouncing conduct and cover-ups that closely resemble the network of protections that allowed Theodore McCarrick to prosper unhindered for decades. Instead of responding to the accusations, Cardinal McElroy chose the path of repression, writing to Rome to request his dismissal from the lay state. The leaked letters and documents never contain a specific denial. The accusations are not declared false, but those who disclose them are simply punished. It's a dynamic that many believers now recognize all too well, where the hierarchy preaches transparency but practices silence and threats. At stake is not only the fate of a priest, but the very credibility of an episcopate that continues to present itself as a moral guide, while the laity, tired and indignant, see the same cover-up mechanisms that marked the McCarrick affair being replicated. The most exposed front, however, is that of Chicago, where Cardinal Cupich has chosen to strike not only at traditionalists, but at the very liturgical history of the Church. In his text published on September 3rd, Cupich praised the post-conciliar reform, presenting it as a necessary correction of centuries of deviations. According to him, between the Carolingian period and the Baroque era, the Roman liturgy was contaminated by court pomp and clerical spectacles, transforming into a rigid rite distant from the people. If you appreciate our outreach service and believe in the values of truth and transparency, please purchase a super thank you. Each piece of content requires commitment, study, and dedication, and our work is entirely self-funded. Your support helps us continue this mission. Thank you so much. Hence, his thesis, the Novus Ordo would have restored to the Church the simplicity of its origins and the communal sense of celebration. For many believers, these words sound like a direct insult to the Mass of all time, branded as an empty shell, and further confirmation of a strategy aimed at delegitimizing what has nourished the saints for centuries. Cupich does not limit himself to defending the Novus Ordo. He uses it as an ideological weapon to disqualify anyone who dares to align themselves with tradition. The picture that emerges is that of a torn American church, led by two cardinals who embody the most aggressive face of modernism. McElroy, ready to sacrifice a priest to save the apparatus, and Cupich, who rewrites liturgical history to justify a failed revolution, appear as two sides of the same coin. Meanwhile, the secularists, increasingly aware and informed, no longer passively accept the rhetoric of cover-ups and manipulations. The stakes are very high, not a simple dispute between theological schools, but fidelity itself to Catholic tradition, which is treated as an obstacle to be removed. And it is precisely in the Mass of all time that many believers see the only sure anchor in the face of a hierarchy that seems to have chosen to please the world rather than safeguard the depositum fidei. The Brie case and Cupich's pamphlet are not isolated incidents, but clear signs of a profound crisis. A crisis that must be addressed truthfully, or it will end up overwhelming those who today believe they can govern it from the heights of cardinals' palaces. Thus, while in Rome, silence is preferred and space is given to the supporters of the new synodal church, in the United States, the faithful are observing in dismay a scene that smacks of a planned surrender. With his statements, Cupich not only belittled centuries of liturgy, but also placed himself in open conflict with the Council of Trent, which condemned as anathema anyone who accused the traditional Mass of being a source of superstition or deviation. McElroy, for his part, demonstrates how the logic of power still prevails over justice, replicating the McCarrick pattern that inflicted so much damage on the Church. Two cardinals, two different strategies, but one result. A betrayed Catholic people forced to defend with their own strength the very tradition that pastors should protect. The message to the laity is clear. Do not expect salvation from the halls of ecclesiastical power, because the battle for authentic faith is now being played out in parishes, in families, and in every heart that refuses to bow to the modernist lie. The crucial question remains open. Will Leo XIV have the courage to remove figures like McElroy and Cupich, or will he instead choose to continue the repression of traditionalists and pastors, faithful to the doctrine? So far, the new pontiff, who ascended the throne only a few months ago, has shown a cautious and open-minded attitude, but also a clear continuity with the synodal approach of his predecessor. As the Times observed, many conservatives who had detested Francis now look to Leo XIV with hope, but remain awaiting concrete signs that might dispel their doubts. The upcoming decisions on episcopal appointments, on the application of restrictions on the traditional Mass, and on the handling of the most sensitive cases, will reveal whether this pope will truly be able to reverse course, or whether the modernists will continue unchallenged to stifle Catholic tradition. What do you think? If you liked the video, comment Amen. God bless you.